and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren, and I am back again with another Lindsay Nicole extinct video. So we're still talking about some of her favorite extinct creatures. This one is called the Dimetrodon. The Dimetrodon? The Dimetrodon. I don't know. We'll find out. The best way to do that is by watching her freaking video. So let's go.
I told you I was gonna get him tattooed on me, and I finally did. For episode 3, I told you I was gonna do it. I told you I was gonna get him tattooed on me, and I finally did. For episode 3 of Extinct, I'm covering Dimetrodon, arguably the most iconic animal alive during the Permian period. You've probably heard of them before, or at least recognized them by
I recognize the look.
their spines going down their back. They've been featured in the Jurassic World TV show, probably Land Before Time, any generic dinosaur franchise shit. Whatever exists, I'm willing to bet Dimetrodon is in it. But here's the thing, Dimetrodon was not a dinosaur. They were alive about 40 million years before the first dinosaurs even evolved. And probably one of the coolest things about them is that they are more closely related to us and all other mammals than they were to reptiles and dinosaurs. Because
Okay, hold the phone. What? What? That's crazy.
Dimetrodon is a synapsid, which is the group that would eventually give rise to mammals. This is our great uncle, and I think that is sick. Great uncle.
I thought so. I thought that was Mr. Stymos.
And I think that is sick. They look sick. Their
That's
evolutionary history is sick,
so cool.
and that makes for a great tattoo. So, without further ado, my name is Lindsay Nicole, and this is Extinct. Extinct.
That's sick.
It is going to wrap a little bit, but I think that might be fun because we want it to have levels and dimension.
I love a tattoo that wraps. Mine, I've got one that wraps like this one. It wraps all the way, and like, isn't it fun when you can see the things through the green screen on the leaves? But like, that's also how you know that the artist did a great job with the green. But like, it wraps all the way around, and I just think it's a cool look. I love a wrappy tattoo.
I don't know. Dimetrodon dimension? Yes.
Ooh, a Dimetrodon dimension.
Let's get the general information out of the way. Like I said, Dimetrodon is a synapsid, the group that would eventually give rise to our mammalian lineage. They were alive during the Permian period about 280 million years ago. If you're familiar with the Permian period, you'll know it ended in the most devastating mass extinction animal life has ever seen, that we know of, called the Great Dying. Up to 96% of all life got wiped out, and the survivors were left to rebuild ecosystems from the
Her new editing is wild. Okay, already. Somebody's doing something a little different.
ground up. Luckily for Dimetrodon, this was about 25 million years after they were around. So, comparatively, for them, life was pretty swell. Supercontinent Pangaea was in full swing, and the world was technically in an ice age with ice at the poles. Permian global residents at the time were experiencing seasonal variations, and habitats near the equator were generally pretty dry, because Pangaea was big as fuck, as you probably know, so made the middle all dry. There were some pretty sick plants like Lepidodendron, Sigillaria, Glossopteris, etc. There are some pretty cool amphibians alive, like Eriops. Pretty fucking massive for an amphibian. At about 6
like a
feet
frog.
long, right here, but in length, and 400 pounds. That's big. That's big for an amphibian. That's huge,
big for most
actually.
things.
There's also Diplocallis. Very cute. Iconic for their boomerang-shaped head. There's also Xenacanthus.
Lindsay sees, oh wait. Go back.
Iconic for their boomerang-shaped head. There's also Xenacanthus.
Lindsay's neighbor employs camouflage by staying still. This is why I film in a little room. It's a secret, snatchy little room. I used to film in my bedroom. And then Colin moved upstairs. So then now I film in his old bedroom. And the windows are always shut. It gets really warm in here sometimes.
My neighbor was there, but I didn't crouch. That's progress. That's progress.
It is.
I didn't hide. I just stopped talking. Oh.
Honestly, that might be more terrifying. I don't know if you've ever like walked past a house or whatever and like happened to like absently glance in through their open windows and there's a person just standing there. That happened to me once. I was driving past and I don't know, some weeb lived there. And I know they were a weeb because of all of the anime art on their walls. And also they had like this weird like statue thing that was like, I don't know what it was, but it was like a mannequin. So statue was like just chilling on the couch. And there was nobody else. I didn't see anybody else in the house. but like they had their back to the window and they were talking, or like they were moving their arms like they were talking, but there was nobody else I could see. So I was like, are you talking to the weird statue thing? And the reason that I was there for so long is because there was a stoplight and I just had to wait for the red light to end. So I was like looking at this weird house with all of like the like so much anime art on the walls. And then like the next day when I was driving past it again, I had to stop there again because the light, and there was nobody in the house, but the statue was still there. So that's how I know that it wasn't a person. But it was, that place gave me the heebie-jeebies for the rest of the like 4 months or whatever that I had to pass by that house every day. My point is, sometimes you're walking past a house and someone's just standing there and not moving, and it's weird.
K. There's also Xenacanthus, an early freshwater relative to modern-day sharks, and mesosaurs, first reptiles to transition back to the water that we know of. There were other synapsids as well, like the tank, Thermoregulation, which looks like a tunnel system came to life, and Edaphosaurus. It had a sail kind of like Dimetrodon, but Edaphosaurus was different, as I will come to explain in a second. An extremely short list for such a long stretch of time. I know. But it's time to get to the star of the show. I love when shit rhymes and I don't mean for it to. It's like I do this professionally. As you would probably expect and hope, Dimetrodon was pretty big. Smallest species got to about 6 feet long. That way. With the largest up to 14 or 15 feet. That's pretty fucking big.
Wow.
That's the length of this room. This new room is like 11 feet wide and 14 feet deep. That is the depth of this room. That's pretty big. You hear that echo?
Yeah, I think that's probably about as big as this room is too. Only the places that I have my my desk and stuff, the window's over on that side. Window's over there. And it stays closed. But yeah, wow, that is that's about as big as this room is.
That's because it's so big and I haven't filled it with shit yet. That's Dimetrodon's length, enough to echo. I think another reason why people think Dimetrodon is a dinosaur is because of the sprawled out stance. It's a very ancestral reptilian stance. Eventually, synapsids would have a more upright leg posture, with the limbs situated underneath the body rather than spread out for better support. They're thought to have been the dominant carnivore of their ecosystems, feeding amphibians like the big-ass Eriops, and other synapsids like Thermoregulation and Edaphosaurus. Because yeah, Edaphosaurus was an herbivore. Dimetrodon was a carnivore, and that makes for a sick
And you can tell because the Dimetrodon has sharp sail and the herbivore has a soft sail, and that's how you tell the difference between the good guy and the bad guy. One of them is spiky. I kid.
So far, we've got 1 herbivore, 2 carnivores, for a total of 3. The discovery of Dimetrodon goes all the way back to 1845 on Prince Edward Island in Canada. A farmer found a portion of an upper jaw, which was analyzed by scientists and described as a new species of dinosaur, Bathynathus borealis. And at the time, they thought they had found the oldest dinosaur ever. This obviously turned out to not be the case.
Because it's not a dinosaur.
This was way before dinosaurs. And so this was not a dinosaur at all. Much later, these remains became connected to specimens found in 1875 in Texas by a paleontologist named Edward Drinker Cope. Edward Drinker Cope. It's a good name.
I've heard of him. Why have I heard of him? Why have I heard of Edward Drinker Cope? Why have I heard about a paleontologist at all?
Late 1800s, their classification was tossed around a bit. One thing became certain. Dimetrodon was not a fucking dinosaur. Like I said, this is like the 4th time now.
Can I take a step back on it? Just see from across the room and be like, oh, that's a dinosaur. Sorry, it's not a dinosaur. She's mammalian.
She's mammalian? Almost. More closely related to mammals. It's a stem mammal.
Mammal.
What's a stem mammal? A stem mammal is an early offshoot on the way to mammals. So not a true mammal.
It's the like mammal startup or what?
It's like a cousin to the first mammals. They were still laying eggs. They didn't have any fur.
Ooh, they had eggs.
Mm-hmm. But not a dinosaur, despite the toy sets you might have at home. This was a synapsid. So let me explain what that actually means. Okay. I know they pretty much look like some sort of reptile. And I guess they kind of were. But not. But kinda. But not. But kinda. But not. Back in the Carboniferous period, about 320 million years ago, a major split happened in the common ancestor between mammals and reptiles. This is deep time shit. We're talking about the first animals to have hard covered eggs, amniotic eggs, on the ground rather than in the water.
So is this like where like platypus then came from? Because they're mammals who lay eggs and I mean, platypi are just freaking weird.
And then they started doing different shit. One direction, mammals. Another direction, reptiles, dinosaurs, etc. In the fossil record,
Points.
there's one major way to identify which animal's on which side of the split. And it's the presence of an opening in the skull behind the orbit, or eye socket. This opening is called the temporal fenestra. This second hole right here, behind the eye hole, this is called a temporal fenestra. The ancestors of mammals, they all have a single temporal fenestra. All mammals alive today have a single temporal fenestra, as in a pair of them. We still do. That's something that all mammals have today and did back then as well. This single pair of temporal fenestra are thought to have allowed for the expansion of jaw muscles, opened up the ability to process a variety of foods. And yeah, now all mammals today have a single set of temporal fenestra, one behind each eye socket. The whole synapsid lineage that led to mammals can be traced in the fossil record by the presence of a single set of temporal fenestra, which is fucking sick in my opinion. All sauropsids, on the other side, the group that gave rise to dinosaurs, reptiles, birds, do not have a single temporal fenestra. They have either 0 or 2. If it has 0, it's an anapsid, or 2, diapsid. The more you know. One of the earliest
the
synapsids
synapsid
that
is-
we know of
okay,
is called
one, I get it.
Archaeothyris. It was about 20 inches long and had a sharp pair of enlarged canines, so most likely a carnivore. I know it looks more like an ancestor to a lizard rather than any mammal, which is definitely due to that sprawling stance. Like I said, the OG trait. They were alive about 25 million years before Dimetrodon, and within that time, synapsids were making some evolutionary moves towards the more mammalian features we're familiar with today. They were still laying eggs, the ancestral trait, and they didn't seem to have fur, which would come later, but they did have more specialized teeth.
I guess
It seems like they
have needed it so much, right? Like, didn't fur kind of come about because things got colder? Like, in the most part? Like, you know, you wouldn't need it as much in the very hot climes.
were developing thermoregulation. Let's start with the teeth. A key aspect of mammals is their specialized teeth. Different teeth for different things. That was definitely happening for Dimetrodon. Matter of fact, their mouths just look completely fucked up. Angel even said she had to keep triple checking the skulls because it seemed so off. But Dimetrodon and their relatives were doing their best with this early experimentation with specialized teeth. Can't help but be fucked up. Dimetrodon was kind of on the way there. Like, there's some slightly longer teeth. That's not a reptile thing. Reptiles typically have just all the same kind of tooth going on. Not a ton of new
interesting.
shit going on. Inside
That is also interesting that, like, mammals have different shapes and sizes, and reptiles is just one the whole way around. That's why sometimes teeth, like, that's why veneers are sometimes really weird. Like, because they tend to flatten things out and, like, make it all the same. And so, like, so if someone's got, like, weird veneers, it's like, so that something's wrong, something's off, can't put my finger on why. That might be it.
incisors for gripping, canines for stabbing, recurved rear teeth for shearing, and teeth on the roof of their mouth to pin prey. Let me check that. It was in my notes, but damn, apparently. Okay. Later species even had serrated teeth, making them the earliest terrestrial carnivore with serrated teeth that we know of. It seems to have been a response to going after larger prey with tougher skin to pierce through. There is some fossil evidence that they were cannibalizing each other too. I guess these specialized teeth made that easier for them. So, an adaptation with some devastating consequences, I guess. Now, what about the thermoregulation? First off, what the fuck is thermoregulation? You know how people refer to
It's when it's how your body reacts to temperature. So animals who can't thermoregulate, like reptiles can't, they have to get the heat from outside sources. But mammals can thermoregulate and adjust their own temperature depending, like, they can do it themselves, which is why we sweat, or why dogs, like, pant and stuff.
some animals as warm-blooded or cold-blooded, like cats are warm-blooded, koi, and snakes are cold-blooded. Cats are warm-blooded because they produce and maintain their own internal body temperature. They're endotherms, heat inside. Snakes are cold-blooded because their body temperature is dependent on their environment. They're ectotherms, heat outside. Tino has a lovely heating pad for that very reason. Ectotherms are the default, as you would probably guess. Invertebrates, fishes, amphibians, and reptiles are all ectotherms, generally. Endothermic groups, like the major groups, evolved only twice that we know of. Birds and mammals. But again, that's generally. Nature never gives shit to you straight. Cold-blooded and warm-blooded is actually a lot more complex, but is unnecessary to get into now. And I was talking about making a video about it probably a year ago. It's still on the list. We'll get into it. We'll get
Eventually.
there. We'll get there. When exactly endothermy evolved in the ancestors of mammals and birds, i.e. synapsids and sauropsids, is still a bit of a mystery. For the synapsids specifically, it's thought that the roots must be somewhere during the Permian. So the ideas of the function of Dimetrodon's sail have that in mind. Blood pumped into the sail might have been warmed up, basking in the sun, or cooled down in a nice breeze. The spines are groomed to support blood vessels. So it's a pretty solid idea. A study in 1973 estimated how long it would take Dimetrodon to heat up in the sun with and without the sail, based on heating seen in American alligators. They found it would take 205 minutes to go from 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit without the sail. 205 minutes. With the sail, 80. More than sliced it in half. So,
wow.
would be sick, if true.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Like it is. The sail probably allowed Dimetrodon to be active.
That's a long time to have to wait to heat up. You're just buffering. That'd be like back in the day where everyone watched videos on megavideo.com because that was a place to watch them for free, but they only let you do it for like a certain amount of time and then you had to wait. But then also like they didn't buffer right all the time, so sometimes you would have to push play on that and hit pause and let it and then go away and do something else for 30 minutes while you waited for your show to half load so you could watch it. Anyway.
And hunt during the times of the day that their prey were still tired and sluggish, perhaps early in the morning, perhaps later in the day as well. Great trait to hunt more efficiently, thus survive more, thus become more and more.
Oh, look how sassy he's walking. He's like, meh, meh, meh. I like the vibe that this guy's giving off, and that might just be of how the artist has him walking, but like, I like it. I like it.
Extreme as time went on, and that's evolution.
Do you have a Dimetrodon joke?
No.
I got it. Here's what you do. You just look at this part and then you insert sail by AWOL Nation. It's like, sail.
Yeah.
That's the joke.
That's good. So what are some other early synapsids from this time? I mentioned a couple really quick at the top, Thermoregulation and Adaphosaurus. Despite having a sail that seems like it's just like Dimetrodon's, fossil evidence suggests these evolved independently.
Whoa, extra spiky.
Spines.
Whoa! That looks like something you'd see in Mordor. Or, like, chains. Like, what the That's metal as fuck, actually.
Had humps on them. Dimetrodons were smooth. Like I said, Adaphosaurus was an herbivore and a very lovely buffet to Dimetrodon. Pretty typical synapsid on synapsid crime. Another synapsid you might like is Euchambrosia mirabilis, potentially the oldest venomous vertebrate ever found.
Oh,
the synapsids were fucking on one during the Permian. The consensus is a little bit shaky, just so you know. Over the last 100 years, it's been quite the debate. The most recent micro-CT scans done in 2022 suggest their teeth were capable of housing venomous glands, so it's looking pretty good. As of right now, looking pretty sick. And another weird synapsid, Siminia, also known as the Permian primate.
I hate
primate, because they seem to have lived their life in the trees. Their bodies were about 3 inches long, and they had a long, slender tail that was about 120% of their body length. They also had very long fingers and huge hands compared to their arms, with claw-like bones at the end of their fingers. They even had their first digit set off at an angle, kind of like an opposable thumb, the OG almost opposable thumb, pretty cool. There were also Gorgonopsids, which I feel like if you watch my channel, you must like them because they look like the pit bull saber-toothed cats of the Permian period.
I was like, that's
solid
better,
mix of the
whatever
two.
that
They were also
is.
considered some of the dominant predators of the...
Go, he looks like Chester Cheetah if he was green. He looks like maybe 50s, like Shere Khan or something, maybe from like the original Jungle Book movie. Like I like he's got that Chad jaw going on.
At the time, and used their saber teeth to deliver slashing
hi.
bites to their
Looks
prey and
friendly.
intimidate their competitors. And what a perfect time to shout out other saber teeth we've covered in the last episode and in the second episode of the History of Cats, which you should check out if you haven't yet. You want to cue something up to watch after this because now this tattoo is finally done.
That is cool. Oh, hey, stop moving.
We're done.
It looks
so sick.
it looks pretty cool.
It looks really cool. I love the way that it's dynamic too.
And all the bones. It's
How
really
she's got him moving. That's really cool. I like it a lot.
Oh my god. Whoa. Oh, wowee. Tell me
I like
how
it.
you're feeling.
First of all, you look cool. Lindsay has 5 appointments in like 2 months. It's a really quick way to get your leg tattooed.
Me nodding.
So that's fun when I get to like piece things together like big chunks at a time, and then it has that big payoff of like, look how many tattoos I have, you know?
and it looks absolutely sick. I love the depth Angel was able to add to it, and I also love that I was able to get the sail because the sail is like the sickest thing. And I'm so happy to have Dimetrodon finally tattooed on me.
It looks really
like
cool.
I said I would one day. I like that it's on the outside of my leg, so when I walk past a reflection, I can see it. It's sick. And now, I can't wait to show you the next one because the rest of them are already done. I split up going to Portland in 2 trips. First trip, I did Diabloceratops and Smilodon. The second trip, I did 3. It was quite a week that got more and more painful over time.
I bet.
Worth it. Very worth it. I can't wait to show you the next one. I'm gonna give you a very general hint. It's an ape. Could be any ape. I would love to hear your guesses. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
Okay.
A huge thanks to Angel for this tattoo that I'm so proud to be showing off. Check out my Patreon for behind the scenes updates, live streams, and our Discord server. And for now, stay curious. The world has a lot for us to learn. See ya!
She's so cool. I would like to meet Lindsay Nicole. She's somebody I think that we're very, very different people. But I think she's really cool. I don't think she's cool, okay? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed learning about the Dimetrodon. So wild. I definitely have seen that thing before. Always thought it was a dinosaur. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.